League, an exit from the Cup, a suspended defender, and an injured young prospect. The big question is, when will things start to go right for Mansfield Town? The Stags didn't get the result they wanted against Barrow at the One Call Stadium on Saturday as they slumped back to their losing ways. And as defender Farron Rawson got himself sent off, the Stags now have big questions over who will play centre-half on Saturday at home to Oldham, a game which has already become huge at the bottom of the table. In midweek, Mansfield Town could have found the answers in the Papa John's Trophy with the Young Guns getting a game, but promising young centre-half George Cooper picked up an injury, meaning Nigel Clough is now without a mammoth 5 centre-backs ahead of Saturday's clash with Oldham. But where will the Stags boss turn? Where should the Stags boss turn? And can Mansfield Town turn it around and re-kickstart their season? Let us know your thoughts in the comments and have your say on your team. This is the show for the fans, by the fans. This is the Mansfield Matters podcast. So another defeat in Sky Bet League 2 for Mansfield Town, and they're out of the Papa John's Trophy. Not that many people cared about that competition anyway, but it's defeat after defeat after defeat and bad luck after bad luck after bad luck. When will things turn around? When will things get better for our Mansfield Town? Will it hopefully be this Saturday at home to Oldham, where the Stags are in desperate need of 3 points? Joining me to look back over the last week of action, including last night's defeat at the hands of Sheffield Wednesday, the regular contributors of Mr. Nathan Edge. Good evening.
Evening.
And Mr. Clive Parkin. Good evening to you.
Hello.
First little bit of housekeeping to sort out. Nathan, are you friends with me again now?
I am indeed. You haven't mugged me off this time.
There you go. Nathan has his Mansfield Matters mug. Clive's still satisfied with his. I had a lovely message earlier from somebody who purchased one of the mugs saying that theirs have been delivered and that they're happy with their purchase and going to have a cup of tea. One's even going to be potentially a bit of a Christmas present as well. So if you want to get involved, the link is in the description. Right, enough mug sales. Let's delve straight into last night, Nath. An exit from the Papa John's Trophy, albeit we've still got one game left to play against Newcastle, who are all under 21s, who are also out of the competition. But a win for Harrogate and the win for our opponents last night, Sheffield Wednesday, mean that we can't progress any further. But I don't know whether to take positives from the game or negatives, because positives, we played really, really well for the first time in a while. Negatives, the prospect of bringing young George Cooper in at centre-half and letting him develop disappeared at half-time when he went off injured.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to be honest. I don't think it would have happened anyway. Knowing Nigel Clough, I think he obviously would have been on the bench out of necessity, but I don't think he'd have played. Well, I don't think he'd have started anyway on Saturday. But it is still a blow, isn't it? He did play very well, and he's done well in the games so far. And a few of the young players actually last night put themselves in didn't do themselves any harm in what they performed on the pitch. So like I say, positives. There was a lot to take out last night. The only negative is that we played well and lost. So and to a last minute goal. Although it's only you and I, Craig. I think that we're in a minority, aren't we? It's only us that wants to progress in this cup. Not happening now, so we can both sit here now and say that game against Newcastle doesn't matter. We can join everyone else, but yeah, it does.
It does matter, and it will matter because we've got pride to play for in not finishing bottom of the group. Clive, it was a frustrating night last night, as we say, as Nathan said. To lose in the manner in which we did, we probably didn't deserve to lose. I actually feel sorry for some of the younger players last night who, would have put themselves in the manager's mindset, but by virtue of the fact that we lost a game and made a couple of errors, may well have pushed themselves back out of the manager's mindset. I'm talking more about James Clark and Ryan Burke, who are both fantastic and both really who will be, the two names which I'm sure Nigel Clough will flip a coin on come 5-2 on Saturday before he has to hand the seam sheet in.
Yeah, I think the only frustration was the result. I thought the game was entertaining. Both teams played in the right spirit. There were some good players on both sides. It's incredibly valuable experience for those players who are not getting a game in the first 11. And it gives the opportunity for the management team to watch these players in a competitive arena. I thought it was interesting that Clough spent part of his time, in fact, nearly all the first half, up in the stand, which is something I've been wanting to see him do anyway. And I think the encouraging thing is just about any of those players, probably bar the goalkeeper, would walk into the side if there was a gap that suited their game.
Yeah, certainly so. I was impressed in particular with Keaton Ward last night as well. Perhaps didn't get a mention towards the end of the game, but felt he did very well in that midfield role. James Clark at right back again. Every time we talk about him, we always say he should be in the team. And honestly, if it's not this weekend, Nath, I will be. If I was James Clark, I will be knocking on the manager's door saying, "Excuse me, Mr. Clough, is there any danger of me getting a game here? Because if not, I'm out of here, because if he doesn't get a game Saturday, then something's wrong."
No, absolutely. You said it. You said after the game on Saturday, didn't you? After losing to Barrow, that James Clark should be in, and then after last night, again another game where he'd gone in and. I'm not going to say didn't do anything wrong, because I think he did better than that. He was one of the better players. So, he should have surely, to God, earned a place. In the team for Saturday, especially given the injury crisis that we have been dealt at the moment.
Let's delve into some of your guys' comments at home and see what you guys have got to say. Rogers kicks us off tonight. Get ready for it. Here it comes. He says, "We need to get galvanised." There it is. Just for you, Roger. Just to appease you.
Can you please bar that contributor, please?
Nope. I couldn't. And do you know what, Clive? I've had enough of your toxicity. Craig in the comments has been in touch with his suggested team. He says Bishop, Clark, Hawkins, Hewitt, Burke, Charlesley, Maris, Clark, McLaughlin, Johnson and Oates would be my 11 for Saturday. Roy says, just been listening to Praise and Grumble on Radio Sheffield, and their fans, Sheffield Wednesday fans, were fuming with their performance and said we were poor, but I thought we played well. Now looking forward to Saturday. Roger says, without wanting to blow my own trumpet, I said about the young players getting a chance last podcast. Yeah, absolutely. And talking about who impressed last night, Craig says, Clark, Ward and Burke all impressed me last night. Every player, I think, for me, the young players impressed. I think it's one of those frustrating situations, isn't it, where in a competition like that it doesn't really match up to League Two football, but you've got to allow your players to develop. And when you've got a crisis like this, I always say it, we're not an 11, we are a team, we are a squad, and these players are there for a reason, Clive, and if they can contribute, they should and they can perform, they should be getting into the side. If you look at the amount of players we've got missing for this coming Saturday: Farron Rawson, suspended. Stephen Quinn, suspended. Tyrese Sinclair, suspended. Injuries left, right and centre. Kel Gordon, still missing at right back. We've got Narty, Forrester, all missing. Forrester potentially could be on the bench on Saturday. But what's interesting there is he's yet to actually train with Mansfield. He stayed with Stoke. So it would be an interesting one to see where he fits in there. Obviously, George Cooper, the young centre-half, injured as well. Ollie Hawkins struggling with his back. I put in the comments earlier, when I promoted the show, Clive, that Marek Steck's been practicing headers. Well, at this rate, it may well get a game at centre-half.
I think at this rate, you might. I don't know how you could have any further bad luck over and above what we've already got. I mean, there's very few people left to cripple. We've certainly got a rag-bag team at the moment, and we're not being hammered by anybody. So I think there's some credit to the fact they are trying to work their way through it. And I don't think we should be overly pessimistic about our chances on Saturday. By the way, I think Craig's the selection, his choice of starting 11, spot on. I'd go along with that any time of the day. I think that there are players there that deserve a go. I don't get the impression that Clough's too happy to bring youngsters through, and I'm critical of him for that. And I'd be mightily upset if young Clark isn't playing, but I've just got a sneaky suspicion he'll be warming his arse on the bench.
Yeah, I think given his comments after the match, it kind of he didn't have as much praise, did he? Like as for what all the fans did for Clark.
No,
and so that rang alarm bells a little bit for me when you think it's crying out for him at the moment. That kind of seems like a bit of a message. Hopefully we're wrong. Hopefully we're reading into it wrong. But it did come across to me as a bit of a message that he probably won't be playing, which I think will be a very poor decision. It's a tough one because last year we all was getting a bit excited, weren't we? Because we did see young players coming. We obviously Ward brought back into the team. Brought back to the club, I should say, and put into the team. Obviously, Jason Law and Tariq Sinclair were, but that's because at that point they had to. Well, surely we're back in that same position now where we just have to put them in there. But the difference is through those players have had some good experience from last season, and I really don't think Law and Ward would look out of place in our team at the moment. And Clark,
I think especially Keaton Ward last night. I mean, definitely to sort of come off the bench. We were talking weeks ago about Sturck being the one to come off the bench and influence for the last 15, 20 minutes. He's another one on the injury list. I certainly think Keaton Ward can do that. I think his best position is in front of that back four, playing that defensive role. He got into a lot of pockets last night to break things up, and albeit he had Stephen Quinn alongside him, and he showed how much we really, really, really missed him for his reading of the game and controlling of the game. I felt Ward had a very, very good game. We'll hear from him in a little while on his thoughts. But to go back to Craig's team selection into what you were saying there, the back four option, it's very, very limited. He can if he sticks with the back four. He's got no Kel Gordon for right back. Obviously, Elliot Hewitt has been playing there, but with Rawson suspended, you would naturally assume that Hewitt would go back to centre half, which then opens that right back slot, which you would hope would be filled by James Clark. But another option he's got is to keep Hewitt at right back and move McLaughlin to centre half, where then you would have obviously Burke brought in at left back, and you've got young Jayden Charles sort of on the bench just in case for cover. But the problem there, and this is the big conundrum for me, is the fact that if you went for that latter option of a centre half pairing of Hawkins and McLaughlin, you've got two players whose natural position, even though they can do a job there, is not centre half. Surely, in a back four, you want at least one natural centre half. Yes, Ollie Hawkins is probably our best centre half at the club at the minute, but he's not a centre half. He's a centre forward. But you want an expert. You want an out and out central defender there. So for me, Clive, the option has to be moving Hewitt back across. If he moves McLaughlin into the middle and leaves Hewitt where he is,
and Clark on the bench,
and brings Burke in, I don't think.
I shall be peeved.
There is a third option as well.
Back three?
No. You could always see a centre-back pairing of Hawkins and Bowery. It's not out of the question, or even Keaton Ward back there, because he has done that previously.
It's such a shame that Cooper got injured, because I thought the way things were looking, Cooper was going to be in on Saturday. And for him to crock himself in the game, I don't suppose he did it deliberately, but it's such a shame, because I thought he'd done enough in the first half to get in that centre-back pairing.
I think he'd done enough, but I don't think he'd been put in. I think it would just be in the same situation as Clark, where we'd assume that he's doing enough to earn his place in there. But I've just got this funny feeling we're going to end up doing what you've just described there, Craig, is just shuffling people around for what reason, I don't know. I've just got a feeling it's going to happen. And again, with Clive, and obviously we all hope we're going to be proven wrong, but if that does happen, well, it will be disappointing.
Yeah, I think we need to set ourselves up for disappointment, because for whatever reason, I actually do think that there is maybe a point. I mean, I get why, Clough might not want to put the faith in the younger players, because they're not experienced players in the situation we find ourselves in, which is towards the wrong end of the table. But here's the question: how do you get experience without playing games? It's like, how do you learn to swim without dipping your feet in the pool? You've got to figure it out, haven't you?
I think Clough also had a dig at the players. I think notably Tyrese, for getting cramp, and he said that how you need games to avoid getting cramp in the late part of the game. Well, that's the solution. Give them the bloody game. I think Tyrese has not made any progress at all this season, and I think he needs a run in the side to get back to where we think he should be. If he doesn't, I think his days are probably numbered at the club. But the other lads aren't getting a chance at all, and they're into an adequate reserve league for them to work in, and they are going to pull muscles and things when they're required to play very competitive football, when they're not doing it on a week-by-week basis.
It's a very frustrating one, Nath, isn't it? Because, we've been quite vocal about this before, a reserve team. When you look at it, all right, this year we've got the added bonus of this under-23s competition, the Premier League Cup. But again, like the EFL Trophy, the games are only once a month. So essentially, those younger players who need minutes and who need time to develop, aren't getting the opportunities because they're only there once a month. You're not going to get anywhere, are you? I mean, I can, for example, if I wanted to become a magician, I could buy myself a magician set, sit down for 90 minutes and play with it once a month, but I never get there. But if I spend every single day or twice a week doing it, I'm more likely to get there a lot quicker.
I don't know about a magician set. If you wanted a cowboy outfit, we could get you Derby County.
You and these bloody adjectives or whatever.
These jokes they're really old. I'm sorry. Talking of old, I mean, back in my day, players didn't get injured at the rate our super athletes are getting injured. We used to play with broken legs.
Yeah, but it was walking football, wasn't it? It's different level now, Clive.
Get out of
here. In your day, everyone played in black and white. No, it's just on the telly.
One substitute, and you didn't come off unless you were dead.
I have just figured out the solution to this, right? I know somebody who has got Mansfield at heart and has got international pedigree. The only thing we need to do is put a bell in the ball. Nathan, are you fit?
I thought you were going with Stuart Watkins there, but I think I'd probably trust him more than me. But I'll go and put a shift in. Why not?
I mean, who knows? If you turn up to the ground at 5-2, you might get your name on the team sheet.
Well, yeah. I mean, who knows? But then again, I'm probably a bit young,
Do you know somebody posted a cartoon on one of the social media pages, and it was a frigate in the Channel, and it had come across this rubber dinghy full of people wanting to immigrate illegally into the country, and from a loud hailer, somebody shouted, "Any of you play centre back?"
I think that's the way we'll be doing it on Saturday for the coming games. That's how we look for free agents, isn't it? Going down the can you play centre back, son? You're in. Let's go back to some more of the comments. Roger says they can't be any worse than what they are now, surely. Richard says, tongue-in-cheek, everyone needs to be ready for Ollie Clark playing right back. Well, we might be lucky to see Ollie Clark at all because he's had his nose broken and reset into place this week, Nate. You know, as if we didn't have a crisis with playing at, you know, people at the back. We might have some missing in midfield as well. The captain.
Well, yeah, I know. That's what it does just go from bad to worse, doesn't it?
You don't need a nose to play football.
Yeah, I mean, Clough did say he doesn't think he'll be out. He'll probably be wearing some sort of mask or something. So, you know, I think we'll be all right in that department. I'm going to touch wood here, but that's one area I know we're missing Stirk and Quinn. Oh, that's it. Never mind. I was going to say we're doing all right there, but we're not actually, are we? Let's be honest.
True. Sorry.
Go on. I just genuinely don't think we're doing all right in any area of the pitch because we've lost a striker by virtue of the fact we've got no centre backs. We've got a striker who's not getting game time in Danny Johnson. We've got young players who are on the fringes who are suspended. I actually think we might struggle to fill a bench.
I mean, I think it might be easier for us to sit here and say what's going right. Might be a quicker conversation.
It'd be a quicker podcast.
Listen, you lot, stop being so cynical.
It's frustrating.
Let's be clear about this. We've lost our best player for the whole season, and that's made a huge difference to the competence and confidence of the defensive lineup. The best two players on the field last night are suspended for the next game or two. But, you know, when two more games have gone by and we've got our long-term banned player coming back and Faz is only out for one game, I think we can start to see some light at the end of this tunnel. And if in the same time Forrester can get rid of his walking frame and bend over to put his boots on, we might just have another player to put on the bench. We're at rock bottom. There's no question about that. And I think it's dead easy to dismiss the side as being rubbish. They are in a terrible situation, and it's not helped by circumstances that are outside everybody's control. I'm not defending Clough because I think Clough's making some mistakes at the moment, but I think we are where we are, and the only way we're going to improve is by getting these players back in the side and moving forward together.
That was the interesting thing for me last night because, yes, we lost another game of football, but we actually played well. And it shows that we can play well. And I think, you know, Clive's got a good point there. It seemed like a long, long road, but let's turn it around. You know, like you say, we can sit here and list all the players that are unavailable, but the key player who makes us tick, other than James Perch, who's obviously out injured and we can't do anything about that, is Stephen Quinn, who, you know, scored a great goal last night and really, really dominated the midfield.
He had a great game last night. The only thing I would draw him up on was his celebration. I didn't like that. He should have been celebrating to his home fans, not running and having a go at the Sheffield Wednesday fans. And that's that level of lunacy that's in his head.
Hold on a minute. Are you telling me if you were playing out there, right, and you scored against Chesterfield, you wouldn't run the full length of the pitch to go celebrate in front of them?
We weren't playing Chesterfield.
No, but he's a Sheffield United fan, isn't he?
But an ex-Sheffield United player.
He's a Mansfield Town player, and if he could have got himself booked for that.
More mature than me, then.
Well, I just think it's a level of idiocy that's in his head, and it's the reason he's had 5, and in fact 6 bans now. You know, it's just got a little bit of a loose slate up there somewhere.
Listen, I think his timing was wrong. I think, you know, we'd got back in the game at 1-1. If that was a 90th minute winner, I'd have forgiven him. I'd have given it him. But I'm going to sit on the fence and get some splinters between that one. Keep your comments coming in. Have your say on your team. Anything Mansfield Town related you want to talk about tonight. We're here for the next half an hour or so. So get involved in the comments right now. Like Owen has done, who says, got to start Clark for me. But nice serving you in Nando's the other day. Thanks, Owen. That was fun. So, for context, I went to Nando's with the better half the other week. Walked in, and this shy young lad, who I now know to be Owen, shows us to our table, and as we said,
Nathan's got a groupie.
Who's Nathan? I'm not Nathan.
Oh,
Nathan's
sorry.
the other one. It was me. I was in Nando's.
Oh, Nathan's a good
Don't take
looking
this away
man.
from him. He'll be gutted.
Yeah. So as I sat down, as I sat down at the table, he went, I'm not going to lie, I was really nervous saying hello to you because I'm a big fan of the podcast. I was like,
Oh, we'll let him off then.
You
you
do
know
know he's
you've
only
made
after
it.
the mug, don't you?
We'll let him off.
You know you've made it when somebody recognises you in Nando's. However, next time, if you're really, really pleased to see us, maybe knock some money off the bill, son. only joking. Only joking.
Maybe in return of a mug, you know.
A what?
You know, those things you barely mentioned in the last podcast. Let's not go down that road again.
We won't go down that road until the end. Some sensible comments coming in. Questions which we've had time and time again, but we might as well talk about it. Why did Clough let Mayonnaise and O'Keefe go out on loan? Mainly because they wanted football and they weren't in his plans, which is hindsight's a wonderful thing. But again, we can't do anything about it at all. And they've gone. They're not at the club. And as
They're
Roger said,
away till the end of this year, aren't they? Till the end of December.
Mayonnaise's full season. O'Keefe is January, but I think
Well,
he'll probably sign permanently for them in
He'll
January.
not bring O'Keefe back, even though he's having a splendid season.
He'll sell him. Roger says, things are what they are. They've just got to make the best of it at the minute and get on with it. Yeah, absolutely. That's the thing, isn't it? It's just getting on with it and persevering through the rough times. Jim says, I know it's not everyone's favourite transfer window, but I truly hope we are getting properly organised now for the Christmas/January window with proper and efficient plan A's, B's and C's in place. It is something we've got to look at, Nathan, start thinking about. And I think this is the big question, isn't it, about how the club and how the staff behind Nigel Clough earn the money. It's a difficult window to get right. It's a difficult window to bring players in, but there's no doubt about it with Perch out for the season that even if we get all of these injured players back into the fold, your Narties, your Foresters, who of course his loan is up in January anyway, and you have all the suspensions over and done with, we still need that commanding centre half to make the difference. We have to replace James Perch.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, even when James Perch was fit, we were still looking for a centre half anyway, which we obviously missed out on, and which is why we ended up bringing in Narty and Forrester as a last minute loan deal. So there's still, for me, there's two positions there, two big sort of players that you need to bring in, in that defensive area. So unfortunately, we've got the worst transfer window to try and do it, and so far the last two transfer windows they've not really gone to plan, have they? So I can't remember who commented now, but they're spot on. We need to hopefully they're working on it now, and we need to get our plans B's and C's and so on in order now and get ready for it, because we can't afford to have another bad transfer window, because the recruitment so far hasn't been good enough, unfortunately.
And one thing we can't afford to do, Clive, either is push the button and say, start the process on January the 1st when the window opens. We need it to be at the end of the process, don't we?
Well, they've got to be looking at players now with a view to keeping them in the frame until the time comes. I mean, what the hell are they doing if not? Because that's their job. Recruitment, having a full-time member on the staff to be head of recruitment means he's got to be doing something every day, or at least regularly. It's all right going to look at players, but what we need to be looking at is players that will be tempted to transfer in January. I'm no expert at these things. You don't wait for people to knock on your door. You have to go and find them.
Yeah, you certainly do. The man whose job it is to help find them is Nigel Clough, the Stags manager, who, of course, last night, interestingly, seemingly didn't watch the first half from the dugout. More on that later on. But first, let's go into the dressing room and get his reaction to last night's defeat at home to Sheffield Wednesday in the Papa John's Trophy. Let's see what Nigel Clough made of the results and the performance.
Yeah, encouraging performance by predominantly a young side, people who've not been getting too much of a game, plus the suspended lads, of course, all featured tonight. So that was a very, very good game. Just bitterly disappointed we lost in stoppage time, because I didn't think we deserved to. It was based upon giving lads a game and getting experience in this sort of competition. The only lads that didn't feature tonight, not in the squad, have genuinely got knocks. Ollie Hawkins has had a troublesome back, hardly trained last week. Ollie Clark's had his nose reset today. George Maris has had a few whacks, and Nathan Bishop, he was the only one really. We're not certainly going to risk him. We're not making the most of our chances and situations. We had 3 great situations to go and get a goal and didn't get one. But I thought the way we started the second half on the front foot with the wind behind us, penned them in, and I thought they hardly got out for 15-20 minutes, and it was one of the very rare forays into our box when they did score. Disappointed with the first one in terms of Joe Shelby. Should have come and cleared everything out. If he's coming for it, he has to get something on the ball. I thought we scored a very, very good team goal in terms of the build-up. I think we got the ball on the edge of the box, a couple little touches in the penalty area, nice little back heel layoff from Tyrese, and Quinny smashed it in the top corner. It was a good team goal. And then when you're within 60-70 seconds of getting a 1-1 and going to penalties, you have to do more then to win the ball on the edge of the box, to stop the cross and things like that, in order to bare minimum take it to penalties. It was ridiculous. We only had a minute or so to go, and we started 1 or 2 little situations ourselves after that. Reece Oates has nearly gone through. But it was that sort of game. Enough chances to win it comfortably tonight. Yeah, I was pleased with Danny Johnson tonight. I was pleased with his work rate, first of all. His hold-up play was good. I thought he won a couple of free kicks that he wasn't given. So I thought I was very encouraged by his performance tonight, more than anybody. Faz Rawson played well, but obviously he can't play on Saturday. The 2 young fullbacks battled away. You see at times it was a struggle for him against the quality of opposition.
Stags boss Nigel Clough speaking to I Follow Stags. Of course, Mansfield next in action as they head to Northampton a week on Saturday after that Oldham game on Saturday, of course. If you want to go to Northampton, you can travel with the Stag Supporters Association. Just £10 for all SSA members, £15 for non-members. Departure time from the One Call Stadium is 11 a.m. To book your seat, call 07967 689 597. That's 07967 689 597. to book your seats on the coach to Northampton a week on Saturday. First, though, it's Oldham at the One Call Stadium on Saturday, this coming Saturday, and it is going to be a big game at the bottom of the table, the wrong end of the table. They've got injuries and what have you themselves, Nath, and have not started the season as well as Keith Curl would have wanted to. 2 wins, a draw, and 7 defeats. Scored 6 goals but conceded 16. It's a real opportunity, even up against it, for Mansfield Town to kick on and to get the likes of Danny Johnson, to get the likes of Jordan Bowery firing on all cylinders, Reece Oates as well, because we have to go out, even at this early stage in the season, and get a win just for our own sense of purpose, our own confidence within the camp.
Yeah, regardless of sort of what it'll do, sort of your position in the league, that this obviously it matters, but there's a lot of games to be played ahead, so it's not necessarily a 6-point or anything like that, because a lot will happen between now and the end of the season. But I just think for ourselves, our mentality and the confidence in the squad, it's so important now to go out there and just get a win. We thought we was turning a corner a little bit after Leighton Orient and Rochdale, getting a couple of draws and improving, getting a clean sheet and so on. But then we've had another couple of defeats since then, albeit one in the cup. I think it's just that it's an opportunity now to go out there and just get that 3 points on the board and just relieve a bit of that pressure and a bit of negativity that's sort of creeping in around the club. So, yeah, I think we should go out there and have a bit of confidence about us. Obviously, make sure we do the basics right at the very least, and hopefully we've got enough in us to see past them. But yeah, I'm not looking forward to it afterwards if we do lose again.
Clive, Nigel Clough spoke about Danny Johnson there, saying that he felt he had a good game last night at the One Call Stadium in the Papa John's Trophy. But the big question is, can he do it on Saturday when it really, really matters? He's a striker who we know has got goals in him, we know has got talent, but just needs to find the half-open door.
Yeah, I was saying to you last night, he's got to start showing what he can do. I mean, he comes with a good track record. We've just not seen anything now. All right, the circumstances haven't been helpful for him, but he's looked quite honestly to be a yard or so off the pace as well. Now, he did work hard last night, and some of his work was good, but I wouldn't have singled him out for as much praise as Clough gave him.
No, I was quite surprised by that, Nathan. I'd have understood if he'd have got maybe an assist or got on the score sheet. I felt his running was all right, but he didn't do what I want a striker to do, and that's to get shots away, to look dangerous every time we go forward. We are really missing, as much as we talk about, missing Perch at the back and having the injury crisis at the back, we really have very little fire up front.
I mean, I'm with you. For me, he didn't stand out for me last night, and personally, I think just those comments are just because he's going to be starting on Saturday, and that's just giving better confidence, which is maybe what he needs. Maybe that's what we've spoke about in the past under sort of when we compared Steve Evans to the likes of Adam Murray and how certain players react differently to certain type of managers. Is it Nigel Clough realising that Danny Johnson's maybe one of those players that needs an arm around the shoulder and a bit of confidence to get him going, and is that what he's trying to do at the moment? So for me, that's probably more psychological what he came out and said, more than necessarily the true reflection of what he actually gave in the performance last night.
Richard in the comments says front three of Bowery, DJ, Oates, Jordan Bowery and Rhys Oates need to attack the fullbacks. They need to use their pace and strength, particularly Clive, Rhys Oates in that scenario. He's got absolute pace to burn, and I feel if he gets the beating of a fullback early on and we can get players up to support him inside the box and we start showing a little bit more enthusiasm to get shots away, I think we'll be all right. If I have any criticism from Saturday, actually, it's the fact that we didn't get enough shots off and test the goalkeeper on a very slippery surface.
Well, both of the last two games, the surface was slippery and begging for people to shoot from anywhere, and they don't seem to want to do it. I mean, we had a free kick in the second half last night that Tyrese took. And he chipped it over to the back end. There was nobody there to drive it in. I just think sometimes you just got to fire the thing low. Anything can happen when you do that, and certainly you have as good a chance as the opposing team to get the second ball. Going back to Oates, I think I like Oates, but his final touch lets him down too often. He gets into places, he works hard to get there, he beats players, and then it fizzles. That's a bit disappointing.
Yeah, it's almost one touch too many. I want to see the likes of Bowery and Oates, if they're going to go down that side, Nath, beat the man and then get a cross in, get a low ball in, or rather than beat the man, then try and dance around the man again for fun. That's what they tend to do, and it's very, very frustrating.
I want to go back to what we were like at the start of the season. Against Newport.
What, winning?
Well, obviously, that's obviously a given. But no, you go back and look at the stats. Newport, Bristol Rovers, Colchester, even Swindon. Look at the amount of shots we had.
Yeah.
We had a policy. It seemed like we had a policy, and for some reason that's gone. And I don't know if it's gone from the management side of it, or whether it's just gone from players not having the confidence. But we were shooting basically on sight from all angles, and we were frustrated then because not enough of them are hitting the back of their net. But I mean, I take it now. At least then we were creating and having a go and looking like we were gonna score, but we're not at the moment. That's the disappointing thing. We seem to be just going now for, like I say, either trying to do too much as an individual and then getting tackled or running it out of play and so on, and not doing enough, or we're just putting aimless crosses into the box. Well, I won't say aimless. We're putting crosses in at the back stick and. Normally we're expecting Ollie Hawkins to be there, and obviously he's not at the moment. And we've got to. Yeah,
but you think they'd know he wasn't there, wouldn't you? Last night.
Yeah, you would. But they need to change. They need to get used to playing in a different way in that situation. And then, like I say, I want us to go back to what we were doing and getting shots off every opportunity. Because if you don't shoot, you're not going to score.
No, I think you're right. I think it's down to confidence, and the lack of confidence means that some players don't want to take the responsibility. And they'd rather, find another player to send on rather than taking it themselves. It's a shame, really, because we are getting some good positions. We're creating as many chances as most teams in the league.
Yeah, it's a very difficult conundrum. Obviously, with all the player crisis that we've got and what have you, we've got a shy strike force. We just need something to come off. You know what we need to do? We need to give somebody an absolute battering, because all fighting for each other. Do you know what? I want an early scrum, an early bit of handbags, because that will rally the team. That will get them fired up. And,
Not with our disciplinary record.
Well,
That's not only handbags.
You've got to give it a go, haven't you? I mean, you've got to have a little slide kick, because my point is, we need something to fight collectively for, and we don't seem to be doing that at the minute. And that's what disappoints me. We are a good team when we fight for one another, and right now, I don't think we are fighting for one another. I think we're just content to keep our heads down and just try and move through. It's almost like.
There we go again. We need a siren for this.
Oh, where was it? No, I got rid of it. Got rid of it. In fact, no, I have got one. Okay. It's almost like.
I hope it's worth it.
Of course it's worth it. Of course it's worth it. It's probably not. It's almost like when you are on your own in a strange city at night, you don't know where you're going, and you're walking down a street, and there's a gang of thuggish looking youths who are growling at you, spitting at you, looking at you, like you're a fish out of water, and you've got to walk through this crowd. We're just keeping our heads down and just not content to go, yeah, what are you looking at? Yeah? You got a problem? we need
that
to do
wasn't
that.
Worth it.
That was so worth it.
Anyway, can I just change the subject very slightly, just to get you off the hook, if nothing else? The officials last night were very good, and I thought the referee had a splendid game. It's the first time I've seen a female referee, and I thought she handled the game very well. I guess the players respected her in a way they might not someone else, but she was on top of everything.
Yes, very good performance from her last night. It's almost like.
No.
That sounds like a cheesy American series.
Actually, no, I don't have anything. I just want to play the jingle again.
I mean, we could do a bit of a shorter jingle for it, to be fair, but yeah.
Yeah, I know, but that's all I've got. I'm like Nigel Clough. I am working with my hand side here.
All right, we'll let you off. But no, the officials did. They were decent last night. That's what this. It's not great when the only positives you can take out of a game is the officials, really. Although
it was noteworthy simply because it was a female referee. That's all.
Okay, yeah. But no, it's. I'll be honest. I came back last night, and although we lost, and to a last-minute goal, which is always disappointing, I actually felt a lot better about things. I thought we actually played pretty well, and there is a lot positive. And a bit like you said earlier, Clive, it is going to get better when we get the likes of Quinn back, and the more the key players start coming back in. I think we will be all right. We just got to knuckle down for the next couple of weeks to get through this.
Like I said, we've got to keep our heads down and walk through the gang of muggers. It's fine. Once we're on the other side, we're in the safe security of where we want to be.
Have you ever heard the saying, when you're in a hole, stop digging?
Yeah. This is the reason that people watch this podcast and listen to this podcast, not just for these excellent mugs, which you can buy for £10 on our website. The link is in the description. It's for the class bantery content. You don't get this anywhere else, which is probably a good thing. But anyway, moving swiftly on, let's talk about mugs, and in particular winning a mug, because in our podcast prediction league, you can win one of these glorious Mansfield Matters mugs, these brand new Mansfield Matters mugs. You can win one by being the best in our podcast prediction league for October. I forgot what month we were in then for a second. All you have to do is go on to the link on our social media page. It's our podcast predictions page, and fill in 3 questions. The first is your name. The second is what you think the result will be, aka a Mansfield 7-0 win. And then predict for some bonus points the goal scorers. If you go for 7-0, by the way, you can only put a maximum of 7 goal scorers. Just to clarify the rules for Mr. Nathan Edge. Some are saying the rules are a bit slack. Some are saying there's loopholes. But it's
That's
not
still
though,
a
is it?
loophole.
It's not
Dreadful,
a loophole.
Not this
dreadful
again.
rules. Dreadful rules.
Look,
I'm with
this is
me and
the
Clive are on the same page. Not this again.
look. All I'm saying is we will review
We
it at
know
the
what
end
you're
of
saying.
October.
You've got it wrong, but we stuck with it. Bit like the recruitment at Mansfield.
In a word, yes. All you got to do is go on there. You'll find the link on our social media pages. Make sure you go and check that out. But you're also playing against us as well over the course of the entire season for our podcast predictions. And seeing as you're very critical of the game, Nathan, I'm going to make you go first. So your prediction for Oldham at home, please.
11-0 of goal scorers. I'm going to go for. It's going to be a high scoring game, 3-2, as it always is between us and Oldham.
Are we winning 3-2?
Yes, of course we're winning 3-2.
Winning 3-2,
What a
right.
stupid question.
A maximum of 3 goal scorers, then, if you please.
That doesn't make it right. Okay, Danny Johnson, Reece Oates, and actually take away Danny Johnson, Reece Oates, Jordan Barry, and Ollie Hawkins.
Okay, Clive, I'm going to hand it over to you.
2-0. Oates, Maris.
Oh, George Maris. Somebody said earlier in the comments, by the way, if you want some good news, Maris is on 4 yellow cards. So suspension.
It's called Cheerful Charlie, the person that posted that.
Actually, it's called Richard, but there you go.
Yeah.
I am going to go for a similar scoreline. I'm going to go for a 2-1 win. I think we're going to edge it. And I think on the score...
Maximum 2 scorers.
Yeah, I know. Don't worry. I know my own rules, pal. I'm going to go for Ollie Hawkins. I don't, trust me. Yes, I do. I'm going to go for Ollie Hawkins, and I'm going to go for the captain, Ollie Clark. I think he's going to scuff one in from 40 yards. So it doesn't matter if he doesn't scuff one in from 40 yards, by the way. The fact I named him as a goal scorer still means I can get a bonus point. Descriptions are optional. Comedy. Moving swiftly on. If you want to play along with that, details on our social media pages over the course of the next few days. We know it's going to be a tough weekend, but we just got to get through it. And I think it's more important than anything, Clive, to pull it back to some sense of normality. You know, there has been a few murmurs of discontent on social media towards the manager, towards some of the player performances, but we are better when we stick together. The One Call Stadium is a very good place to be when we're making positive noise. The lads in Q Block and in and around the stadium and ladies in Q Block as well have done an absolutely phenomenal job so far this season in trying circumstances sometimes as well. So we beg that keeps happening on Saturday. If we're not performing too well, if we go a goal behind, stick by the teams, get behind them and keep that singing going, because when we create an atmosphere, you know, the players do thrive on it. And that's what we need at the moment. We don't need the negativity. We don't need them to not want to try. We want to give them a reason to put in that extra shift, to run that extra yard, to take that extra shot.
It's the very time that the fans need to work harder. And I know it's not easy when you feel let down by the club that you passionately want to do well. But, you know, if you've been watching the club as long as I have, the whole experience is based on mostly disappointment and occasional highlights. And I suppose it tempers you for disappointment in that respect. But, you know, after 2 or 3 games this year, everybody was whoopee-wooing about the team's chances, and another 6 games on, and everybody's saying how bad they are. What's happened in that 6 games is what's brought us to this position. And we can come out of it again. Then we're only barely a fifth of the way into the season as well. So it's too early to write us off. I think we've made the season a lot harder on ourselves, and any aspirations for promotion have been damaged. But I can enjoy watching Mansfield play when they play well, and I think we've got some good football to come.
We definitely have. We've got players coming back in a few games' time. We've got young players knocking on the door, whose name could or couldn't be Jason Law, just to keep the rhymes going for you two, because I know how much you enjoyed them over the last couple of weeks or so. You know, we've got potential there. One last thing I want to end on before we end today is Nigel Clough, Clive. Didn't appear to be in the dugout for the first half. He may well have been, but a few people on social media saying, where was Clough in the first half? It seemed, you know, like he potentially went and sat in the stands and got a different view, which is something you've wanted to see for a while.
Yeah, but apparently it was in the South Stand, the unpopulated South Stand. So whether he was up there with the police control people, I don't know. But I'd have liked to
with the fans.
Well, I'd have liked to see
in the
him
current
in
situation.
the centre of the Ian Greaves upper, because I think you get a perfect view of the game and the strategy that you're trying to unfurl. I don't know how you can actually judge the game from pitch level in the same way. That's why all the best managers are where we sit.
Clearly. I do like that. I do like having somebody in the stands feeding down to the touchline at least, and having that there. So maybe he did it on purpose. Maybe he just didn't want to be sat in a cold dugout. Who knows? But if let's pretend that he did get something to. Why are you showing me?
I just want you to enjoy it.
I mean, I always enjoy looking at myself, but there you go. Let's take something from the fact that let's take a positive and say that he was watching the game from a different angle and having a look at things for Saturday. That's almost time we've got time for. Graham says you're writing Oldham off, but we nearly always lose at home to teams at the bottom of the league. We're not writing them off at all, are we, Nath? What we're saying is that sooner or later, Mansfield have got to improve, and why not? Why can't it be Saturday? Is that?
I think we're just trying to get some optimism into it. I think, and it's just our it's a loophole in our prediction games, which is probably referring to. We always go for wins because we get more goal scorers and more chance of getting points. So don't read anything into that, to be honest. It's just a loophole, like
the fallibility of the rules, isn't it? That's all.
Yeah, that's all it is,
But I tell you what, I remember 2 or 3 seasons ago when we played Oldham at our ground, we beat them 6-1. And it was a cracking game, and we start off poor in that game, and we actually trounced them. But I tell you what, I remember more.
So
their fans were superb that day. They never stopped cheering. There was some irony in what they were doing, but they were fully cheering on and dancing around the stand, even though they were losing 6-something. And I think that's what we need our fans to be, a bit more determined.
Yeah, let's hope that it's a better afternoon for Mansfield on Saturday. That's almost time we've got time for. I know I've talked about it a little bit in the show, and Nathan and Clive have both made a little bit of jokes about about the mugs and what have you. But in case you've missed it, we have got these brand new Mansfield Matters mugs on sale for you guys now. Just £10 on our website. Every penny goes to supporting the podcast and helping it run. So from the mug sales we've had in just the first week, we're able to put this podcast on iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and all the dodgy ones as well for an entire season. So thank you very much for that. We will be planning some brand new Mansfield Matters content next week. We're going to have a bit of a Mansfield Matters meeting. Owen, I think your name was Owen. Apologies if it's not. If you're listening, it probably will be in Nando. So if you can sort us out with that discount, we'll sort you out with a mug. We'll be talking about a few things. We're going to be talking quiz nights. We're going to be talking more stag stories. We're going to be talking things like different kinds of podcasts. So not necessarily podcasts where we're talking about this game, the players, the current on the pitch situation. We might be talking about some hypothetical stuff. More content is coming your way. So we really do appreciate your support. So thank you very much so far, and for purchasing a mug. And don't just take it from me how good these mugs are. Let's hear it from the people who've been drinking out of them. Nathan's the latest recipient of one. He received his at half-time yesterday. How many drinks of tea have you had out of it so far, Nath? What do you make? We know you're a good mug connoisseur.
I mean, I'll be honest. I just unboxed it just before I came up for the podcast. But saying that, I did get it at half time yesterday, and it was like we won the cup. Well, like I won the cup. So it's honestly it's delightful. Every sip.
Clive, you've got a garage full. How are they?
Well, they're very happy in there.
No, that's the bit where you're supposed to say they're not happy in there. They need homes.
Oh, that is true. Yeah,
how did you used to be a salesman?
You're talking about as if you're like rescued puppies. I mean, they'll get homed eventually. We've got to come up with interesting and exciting ways of distributing them. And at the moment, I think there's probably 2 or 3 people in Africa don't know we've got them yet, though, Craig. So if you can work on that.
Mugs. Buy a mug. And there you go. I certainly will. Right, I'm going to leave these, put these two into the darkness and into the land of mutanness, because frankly they've been abusing me far too much on tonight's show, slagging off my rules, slagging off my sales technique. How dare they? Everything is all for their benefit, as it is for yours. That though is unfortunately. Or maybe fortunately, depending on the way you want to look at it tonight, all we've got time for. Thanks as ever for joining us on the show for the fans, by the fans. Seriously, if you do want to buy a mug, mtfcmatters.co.uk. They're helping us out a great deal. Make sure you get yourself to the One Call Stadium on Saturday to support the boys. We may be without 40,000 players. We may be down on our luck, but it can only change by sticking together and following the journey. Why? Well, by now you shouldn't even need to ask, because Mansfield always matters. Stay safe, and we'll see you again next week. Goodbye. Are you fed up of drinking a cup of tea or a cup of coffee out of a mug which says tea or coffee on it? What you need is a Mansfield Matters mug. mtfcmatters.co.uk. Mugs.